This podcast is brought to you by WTOE Radio at throughoureyes.org.
Hi, this is Cheryl Echevarria of Echevarria Travel, your one-on-one travel agent, making your travel dreams come true, home of the independent traveler. Whether you're sighted, blind, or disabled, whether you use a cane, guide dog, or sighted guide, Echevarria Travel will get you there safely. Come and learn more about traveling independently.
Come with me, let's go. Come with me, let's go. Come with me, let's go. Come with me, let's go.
Hello and Happy New Year, everybody. Happy 2013, the very first of Through Our Eyes shows for the month. And welcome back. Today we're going to be starting out the new year with two guests. My first guest after our first break is Mr. Andrew J. Garnett. He is the president and CEO of Special Needs at Sea. And as you know from listening to me or watching our shows, I specialize in cruising, and his company rents scooters and wheelchairs and oxygen and different kind of beds and different kind of chairs for you to enjoy your travel, whether if you're cruising or going to a foreign destination. He's the man you want to talk to tonight. So if you have any questions tonight, the number to call in is 1-888-572-0141. And on the second half hour of the show, we're going to have Christine Faltz Grassman. She's not only a friend, but she's also a client of ours. And her family went to Ireland in 2011. And everybody in her family is blind. And we're going to talk about their experience in Ireland for her daughter's Sweet 16. So, before we go to break, I want to give you my contact information as usual. It's Cheryl Echevarria. I'm the owner of EchevarriaTravel.com. And you can reach me at 631-456-5394 or reservations at EchevarriaTravel.com. And we specialize in pole-to-pole. Any place you want to go, anything you want to do, we'll get you there safely, and you'll be able to enjoy it. So we're going to take a 2-minute break. When we come back, I'll bring on Mr. Garnett, and we'll talk about special needs equipment for your next vacation. Stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere. There'll be more show right after these messages.
Come with me, let's go.
And we are back. Tonight we have, like I said, we have two guests on. My first guest, some of you may already use some of the products that this gentleman rents for on the cruise lines, whether you could be using a scooter or a wheelchair, or if you're a guide dog user, the boxes that are used for the doggies to go into the bathroom on the box on cruise ships. This gentleman is the president and CEO of Special Needs at Sea. His name is Andrew J. Garnett. Andy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show tonight. We really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, as Andy and I met a couple of years ago, basically on Facebook, while I was searching around for equipment and learning about where different things come from on the cruise lines. And Andy we got in touch with each other, started talking. And, Andy, I want you to give us a little background about yourself. I usually go into this with all my guests. Please let us know who Andrew Garnett is, what is Special Needs at Sea, why did you go into the special needs industry? Give us a little background about yourself.
Okay, sure. Actually, I used to be in staffing industry. Used to staff for AT&T call centers, and AT&T decided to get out of that business. So I went through a series of downsizings, and one day a travel agent asked me if I'd be interested in supplying this kind of equipment because they had requests for it. I figured I had nothing to lose. I couldn't find work, and so I started in my bedroom. And I used to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and drive up to Port Canaveral to make my deliveries, and then drive across the state to Tampa, make my deliveries there, and then drive back to Fort Lauderdale so I could be ready for the next day. And really, I gained a passion for making it possible for people who want to travel to be able to not only to go, but to have a great time. And we've, to date, made deliveries in 99 different cities in 30 different countries around the world. And happy to say we're making it possible for people to go and have fun.
That's really awesome. I mean, in this day and age, especially with what your company's doing, you're doing something called that special needs certification for people like myself who are travel agents. Can you give us a little heads up on that as well?
Sure. Well, I had so many travel agents that would come to me at trade shows, and I'd see them at every trade show every time, and they would say, I really want to learn about this, I really want to do this, but they all suffered from what I call paralysis by analysis. So they were afraid to get started. So I said, we need to do something, and we created this course. It's online, it's not too involved, although you do have to pass a test, but it's 3 different modules. And if you do it all the way through, it takes about 65 minutes to complete the whole course. And once you've completed it, you have an understanding of the special needs market. You'll understand how big it is, how to approach it, different kinds of equipment, the differences between different kinds of wheelchairs and things like that. So to date, we have over 1,000 people who have become certified. It doesn't cost anything for someone to take. And for those who are interested in, travel agents who are interested in CLIA credits, it is accredited by CLIA, and they will get 5 CLIA credits for free.
That's awesome, especially as travel agents always looking to get more training out there, especially now the market is, I should say, the travel industry is stepping back and looking at the money that they can make on people that are special needs, that are disabled and everything. So we're actually, it's a two-way street where the disabled community is actually coming out, let's say, of the closet, no offense to anybody, to travel more independently. And your company offers, as I was saying, information for service animals, for the boxes on the cruise ships. You do some braille for some of the cruise lines. You do all different kinds of wheelchair and scooters, and a lot of things on there. I was noticing that when I was taking the course and learning about your equipment, that it's oxygen and all the different kinds of oxygens and the different beds that you offer and all that. I'm sorry, Lenny, were you saying something? Yeah, it's my dog. Max is listening, so that's his rattling around. Plus, I'm a little hoarse, so maybe hear the changes in me. Haha. Anyway, just want to let people know the lines are open. If you have questions in reference to any of this equipment or whether or not you may need something like this for your next trip, the number is 1-888-572-0141. And the way somebody would get equipment for your cruise, you would either contact the company themselves or you would contact me at Cheryl Echevarria, and we would rent the equipment for you, and then we would let the cruise line know that you're having this available. It actually, if somebody is actually using a wheelchair or scooter or a specialty bed or chair or something like that, it's already on the cruise when you arrive. It's not like you have to, it's going to be dropped off at your home and you have to return it to your home. It's actually on your cruise ship. You leave, and then when you leave to go home off your cruise, you leave it there. So it's very convenient, especially if you have a scooter at home. Sometimes people are flying and they don't want to get their own wheelchairs or scooters damaged. This way you have the opportunity of having it available to you without ruining what you may be afraid to take with you. Andy, what other equipment do you offer besides, wheelchairs and scooters and the oxygen? What other kind of equipment do you offer?
Well, that's a good question. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on equipment we have for people who have a visual impairment. We print the menus in Braille for the various ships. Norwegian Cruise Line has made a dedicated effort to make sure that every menu, on that cruise line, they have many different restaurants. So they have a lot of menus, but they have made a dedicated effort to have all of those menus printed in Braille. And as Cheryl was mentioning regarding the relief area for the dogs, it's always a good joke, part of my presentation. People say, I've been on cruises so many times and I've never seen where that area is. What is it? So what the cruise line does is they create a 4x4 wooden box, and then they call our company and have us deliver sod or cypress mulch on board. And people always ask, where is that on the ship? And the obvious answer is on the poop deck, right?
Very good.
That's always part of one of my presentations. But pretty much anything special needs. We do a lot with Make-A-Wish Foundation. They'll ask us for even specialty baby food, gluten-free items that they need delivered. Basically, we're dedicated to delivering an accessible world. So it's not just the wheelchairs, it's not just the oxygen or the hospital beds. We do have those beach wheelchairs. So imagine someone who's never put their foot in the water, and they use a regular wheelchair. The wheels are too narrow to get through the sand. Plus, you don't want to get it wet with the salt water. It will corrode the wheelchair. So we have a wheelchair that has balloon tires on it. It's made out of aluminum, so it won't corrode when you take it into the water. And it gives that person who lives in Iowa, who's never seen the ocean, the opportunity to not only be there, but actually get into the water and enjoy. So to me, it's a feel-good business. We'll also provide sign language interpreters if requested, alert kits. Someone who has a hearing impairment can't necessarily hear someone knocking at the door, or if there's an emergency on board, they don't know that there is a fire. They can't hear the fire alarm or the general alarm. So we provide equipment on board that will alert them as to the fact that someone's knocking at the door, if the phone is ringing, so they can connect to the TTY, or if there's a general alarm, so they're aware. It's a feel-good business.
Definitely. And that's basically one of the reasons I went into the business myself. Back in 2009, I couldn't find a travel agent that wanted to work with me, and so I decided to go into the business myself. So yeah, it is a feel-good business when you get somebody who's never traveled, that is disabled or even not disabled, and they go someplace for the first time. It's definitely a feel-good business. I wanted to step back a little bit, and you mentioned Norwegian Cruise Line. I've been working a long time with Norwegian to get them very up to date and accessible, so it's been a win-win situation for everybody, and I'm glad that's going on. I also I was going to even ask you about the people that are hearing impaired or deaf. I had a friend who wanted me to ask you questions about that, but you already answered them about sign language. You provide the the alarm clocks or the vibrators in the bed to wake them up, or what other services do you offer to the deaf?
That has a tactile alert, which is the vibrating bed shaker alert, visual alert, so it has the strobe light, and there's also an audible alert, so someone who has a hearing impairment doesn't necessarily have a complete hearing loss.
Correct.
But one thing I'd like to elaborate on for your listeners that maybe have never been on a cruise, in my opinion, cruising is the best form of transportation for someone who has a special need, because your hotel is accessible and your hotel moves for you. So if you want to see different cities, and maybe you want to get a taste of different cities and decide which one you like best and you want to go back to, by booking with Cheryl on a cruise, you can go and see these different places, knowing that your hotel, the cruise ship, is accessible, and the various destinations you go to that Cheryl will arrange tours for you, knowing that they will be accessible for you, so you'll have a great time. It's just really a good opportunity to get out and enjoy the world. You don't have to enjoy the world only by watching television or looking on the internet. Because of people like Cheryl, you're able to go out and experience it for yourself, and you should.
Thank you for saying that. Well, we brought that up. I just wanted to give a little announcement that the NFB of Florida is having their state convention February 7th through the 10th, 2014. And you don't have to be a member of the NFB of Florida to go. I have held separate space just for friends and family. But we're trying to get you NFB of Florida members out there going. So if you're listening, it's the perfect time to call in before the end of the half hour, before we have to say goodbye to Andrew. But the line is open. It's 1-888-572-0141. I know there's too many eights there. I get so confused. Wow. So if you're out there, you have a question, please call in. We'd love to speak to you tonight. And also, please remember the people that are going on the NFB New Jersey cruise in April. This is also a great time to ask. Now, another thing I found out while I was doing the studying on the for the special needs certification, there's actually a life jacket for a guide dog. I thought that was really interesting. Did your company create that, or is that something that a lot of people are asking for now?
Well, we didn't create it. Definitely didn't create it. However, the cruise lines keep a certain quantity on board at all times, but when there's a large group with service animals, what they will do is they will ask us to provide additional life vests for the dogs. So it makes sense. It's a member of the family, and you want to make sure that they're safe too.
Definitely. Anyway, excuse me. Lenny, do we have any calls out there? No calls. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyway, Andy, as you know, the NFB National Convention is coming up in July, and we do hope you can come down and speak to us at the Travel and Tourism Division meeting. We're having it July 2nd. You don't have to give us an answer now. I don't want to put you on the spot, but we'd love to have you come down and talk to us while we're there. If you can, that'll be great. And I hope to have you back on in the show again in a couple of months if you're able to do so.
Sure. Yeah, we'll talk.
I'm just trying to see what else there is out there. Sorry, my nose is dripping in. People that are listening, I apologize for that. Are you going to be at any of the travel agent trade shows coming up? I'm going to be at the New York Times trade show in New York City. So if anybody is in New York City, it's open to the public the 19th and the 20th at the Jacob Javits Center. For anybody that's interested in wanting to know the latest and greatest in traveling, January 18th is for travel agents only, so a lot of suppliers will be there. Will you be having a booth this year at the trade show?
No, we try to support the travel agents when it comes to these consumer type shows, like the New York Times show. Mm-hmm. So sometimes travel agents kind of feel that we're competing with them if we go to a consumer show, and we're really here to support the travel agents. We were the first company to ever offer commission to a travel agent for special needs type of equipment. But to elaborate a little bit more, our company is also called Special Needs Group, not just Special Needs at Sea. One of the reasons that we started a transition was because people would rent from us for the cruise, and then they would say, well, I'm going to be in Miami for 2 days before the cruise. Can you recommend someone? And then we would tell them, sure, we can do it for you. And then they would say, no, you can't. You're only at sea. So we can provide at any of these destinations that are major cruise port cities, such as Miami, Fort Lauderdale. If you are traveling to go to the New York Times travel show and require special needs equipment, we can deliver it there. And, if we had to grow the fleet and buy all of this equipment, because if a ship is sailing from New York to Barcelona, Spain, we have to pick up the equipment in Barcelona. And then when the ship sails from Barcelona to Dubai, we need to have an agent in Dubai who picks up the equipment. And then when that ship goes to Sydney. So that's how we expanded our network. And we own 99.9% of all of the equipment that we put on the vessels. It's owned by us. So you can imagine we have a lot of inventory all around the world. And we do that because we want to make sure that we have consistency on the type of equipment, make sure that it's good. And if a ship sails one way, if we're renting it from someone else, they won't be too happy when it leaves their town.
Right. Other than doing the cruise lines, would you rent to somebody that's actually like going to Rome or to London or something like that? Or it has to be somebody that's cruising?
No, we'll do it land-based only as well. We do provide service in Orlando, which definitely is not a cruise city. And many times people just come or go to a city to enjoy the land portion, and of course we'll provide the equipment there. We do that all the time.
Okay. Just trying to see, Lenny. Yes. Okay. Because I keep hearing something bouncing around. I'm going in and out. So anyway, I want to thank Andrew for coming on tonight. And I want to reiterate that what his company does and what I can do if you're contacting me and you're going on a cruise, you're going on some kind of land destination, and his company can service it. You go through me, I will contact their company, and we'll get you all the equipment that is needed, whether it's a wheelchair, scooter, especially the oxygen out there. You can't always bring the oxygen you're using at home. You need special oxygen tanks that can go on the cruise line. Some of the older models cannot go on the cruise line, and you have to get the right tanks for the cruise lines. Also, they have the different kinds of walkers, the ones that you can push, the ones that you can push for a little bit and then sit down in. If you're not a fast walker and you need to stop and relax. Am I missing anything? I think we've gone through most of the products that you service. And unless I'm forgetting any particular thing it's not sticking out in my head tonight.
No, you've covered most of it. The wheelchairs, mobility scooters, power chairs, hospital beds, patient lifts, oxygen, cylinders, liquid oxygen, bed wedges.
I have to say, those bed wedges came in handy. We actually cruised in October with a couple that was celebrating their anniversary. We were celebrating together. We ordered the scooter and the bed wedges because she's used the adjustable beds, and it was perfect for her because she couldn't lie flat. And you also did the hospital beds?
Yeah, hospital beds. We'll also do the Lazy Boy recliners and lift chairs. Shower safety like transfer benches, commode chairs, shower stools. So just all the different kinds of equipment.
Well, Andy, I want to thank you for coming on tonight and explaining Special Needs Group. And we hope to speak to you again. And I look forward to meeting you in Florida sometime in July. And have a Happy New Year, and thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And when we come back from our break, I'm going to have Christine Grassman from Long Island on the show, talking about her trip to Ireland in 2011. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.
Hi, I'm Keith Zhao, your announcer here at WTOE Radio Network. We're going to take a little bit long with this break to save our files for podcasts. So don't go anywhere because there'll be more of the Echevarria Travel Show in just a bit.
Come with me, let's go.
Hello, and we're back. Happy New Year again. If you just tuned in, we just recently had Andrew Garnett from Special Needs Group. He will be back on another show. And coming up right now, I have a client and also good friend, Christine Faltz Grassman from Merrick, Long Island, New York. And I actually sent her and her family in 2011 to Ireland for her daughter's Sweet 16. Unfortunately, we don't have a video connection, but Christine is on Skype. So, Christine, are you there?
I am here.
Christine, thank you for coming on tonight.
I'm glad to be here. Anything to help my travel maven.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, Christine, I try to send her as many places as she allows me to do so. And like I said, we're very good friends. She was one of the very first clients I had that actually I sent overseas, which I was very nervous about. I'm always nervous when I send my clients anywhere. And Christine, why don't you give us a little background about why you wanted to go to Ireland and your time that you were there? So we could start with that.
Well, there were basically two reasons why we decided on Ireland. First of all, it was some place that I always wanted to go because I have ancestors who came from Ireland during the potato famine, and I wanted to do a little bit of research, see if I could find some information about them. And the other reason was because my daughter was very interested in traveling for her Sweet 16 present as opposed to a party. And so we put down a couple of countries and we discussed it, and we decided that we would choose Ireland. And we decided to focus on one country. Initially, we had been considering maybe going to 2 or 3, but we decided that we would rather just spend our time in one country than floating around from country to country.
Now, since you're totally blind, your husband Gary's legally blind, and Samantha has some vision left, or she's totally blind as well?
For functional reasons, for functional functionality, she's totally blind. She has some light perception, as do I on bright days, but it's really not functional.
For somebody that is interested in going to Ireland, that's blind, that has, like all of us, whether some kind of vision loss, how did you feel about going to Ireland? How were you treated? What kind of mobility you think that people need when they go to a place like Ireland or any place at all?
I really think that anybody who's blind, whether it's totally blind or legally blind with some usable vision, needs to be an excellent independent traveler to go anywhere, really. Unless you're exceedingly familiar with a particular area, I think that you really need, just for purposes of your own safety, to have very good travel skills, because anything can happen in any scenario in any place. So I would say that regardless of where you go, you should be an excellent traveler. As far as Ireland, having been there, I can safely tell you that I would, without reservation, travel there on my own, with no concerns whatsoever.
Okay, trying to get my thoughts here. When you went there, explain the towns you went to. What did you experience? I mean, people think, well, you're blind. What are you going to look at? And I know from you telling me all the experiences you had, what did you enjoy most? What were some of your favorite places and towns you went to? And, I tell people when they're traveling someplace, you're not, you got all other senses besides your vision. So, what would you tell somebody that's interested in going to Ireland, or what you did, what exactly you did? And I know CIE tours that I use, they're wonderful as long as I let people know ahead of time that whatever disability the person has, that they're very professional about it.
They were very professional. All of our tour guides were excellent. Nobody tried to stop us from doing anything we wanted to do. For example, one of the things that we did was to go to Blarney Castle. And Blarney Castle has, I can't remember the number now, I don't know why, but there's quite a few steps. And they are not what you would call regular steps. They're very uneven. Some of them are narrower than others. They're not what you would call even footing. Nobody tried to stop us. Nobody questioned us as to whether, this was something safe that we were embarking upon. We got up to the top. We came back down. There was absolutely no issue. Additionally, we went to one of the isles. We went to the island of Inishmore, and there again was a fort that we climbed towards the top of. And again, very precarious footing. You want to be not necessarily in good shape, but you want to have good balance to do these particular two activities. And especially because it's very windy at the top, and it can start raining at a moment's notice, so things can get slippery. We actually had really good weather. And I found those two things fun, but the most fun I think I had was in Galway, around the ocean. I love to be by the ocean. I love to be by the water and by the cliffs of Dover. You could really hear the ocean. There was a flautist, and there was actually a penny whistle player, and there was also a harpist. So the combination of the music plus the wind blowing and the waves, and the people enjoying themselves around us, it was a really fantastic experience. And the time we went was August, and we had very beautiful weather. Absolutely gorgeous. It barely rained when we were there. We were told over and over how we really lucked out. And I would say that even though Ireland is known for its scenery, there are many things that you can do that you can have a full experience of being outside, of the ocean, of doing things hands-on in a museum. The tour guides are fantastic. They're interesting. They're funny. We went to a show that had a lot of music, a comedian. So there were tons of things that we did that we really enjoyed it. I don't feel that, yes, I was a little envious of the oohing and eyeing as people were rushing out of the bus to take pictures and get this fantastic scenery, which we put together. My mother-in-law put together a scrap book of our trip, and people are just amazed at the scenery over in Ireland. So, yeah, it would be nice to see it, but you can enjoy Ireland fully and completely without being able to see a thing.
And I try to stress that to anybody that's coming to me and saying, look, I can't see, what can I do? And I always tell people, look, we got sense of smell, taste, touch, all our senses available to us. So, sometimes in some scenery you don't want to see, and some you do, and you just make the best of what you can enjoy. When you went on the buses, you were mentioning the tour guide, so they were very descriptive of what you were looking at, even though you couldn't see what they were looking at.
We had a few different tour guides. One of them was very hands-off. He would tell us a few really amusing anecdotes. We had a lot of fun with him. And a good portion of the trip, we would do our own thing, listen to our music, talk amongst each other, read. And then we had another tour guide who was constantly singing songs with us and telling jokes and telling stories and giving us history. So there was a real variety in the manners in which the tour guides approached the various tours. And absolutely, we got a lot of information from all of them, but they definitely had their own distinctive personalities. Some of them were more hands-off, come up to the front, ask me questions if you want, and others were constantly giving us information.
Wonderful. Like you said, when you went in August, you had no problem with the weather, but coming back to the States, you had some...
That's when we had a problem with the weather.
Yes, because in 2011, we had Hurricane Irene, and it was very interesting. It's one of the reasons I insist on my clients getting travel insurance. Because
definitely a good move.
Definitely. You might as well finish, because I'd rather have them hear from you than from me talking as a travel agent of what you went through coming back.
Okay, well, we knew that there was a hurricane coming, and I kept going onto Facebook to sort of check statuses, check with friends to see what was going on. And it wasn't exactly clear. We really believed that we were going to be able to fly in before they closed the airports. We knew it was going to happen eventually, but we figured we'd get in. Unfortunately, when I woke up early in the morning in the hotel and went to Facebook to check, I learned that the airports were closing off flights, all flights after a certain time. I think it was about noon. And our flight, I believe, if I recall correctly, was supposed to come in at 1:15. So we were shot out. So we went to the airport and we figured, okay, we'll get the next flight out to New York. All the flights to New York, at least through Aer Lingus, were closed until the following Saturday. We did not know, and we didn't think to try to find out if we could get a flight out on a different airline. We would have preferred to stay in Dublin another 2 or 3 days if we had to stay anywhere for 2 or 3 days, but we didn't think of checking other airlines. So we decided to look at Aer Lingus and decide where we could go in the States as close to New York as possible, and we decided on Chicago. So we took the flight to Chicago. Meanwhile, I left you a message, Cheryl, saying what was going on and to please get us a hotel that we could quickly get to when we arrived in Chicago. And sure enough, when we landed in Chicago, in less than half an hour, we were through customs. I had the information from you that you'd left on my cell phone with the hotel name and the reservation and everything. And we called, got a shuttle, went over to the hotel, and we were safely ensconced, literally within half an hour of landing. And we spent the next 3 days in Chicago, and for a good portion of that time, a whole bunch of us, including you, Cheryl, and myself and my parents and a whole bunch of people, were trying to get us flights into New York, which wouldn't bankrupt us, and the travel insurance company. And we just couldn't get anything until we found something flying out from Chicago to Baltimore. We had to go across town to another airport, so we had to take a cab to do that. Then we flew to Baltimore, and we thought we would take Amtrak to New York. So we went to buy the tickets to Amtrak to New York, and we learned that after Philadelphia, we couldn't go any further because of the flooding in New Jersey, I believe in Trenton, and they had closed down the stops between Philly and New York on Amtrak. So we decided when we got into Philly, maybe we take Greyhound or some other, conveyance to get to New York. And I called to let my parents know what was going on, and my father decided to come and pick us up in Philly. So that's basically it. It was far more of an ordeal and far more exhausting getting from Chicago to New York than it was getting either from New York to Dublin and Dublin to Chicago. It was really exhausting. But because we had the travel insurance, we got all of our money back for the hotels, for the meals, for the flights, for Amtrak, and it was smooth. It was as smooth as it could be under the circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to mention to people that are listening or going to be listening to the recorded show that if you need to go outside of your travel itinerary, get a hotel and Amtrak or another flight, hold on to those receipts, because the travel insurance company, to pay the claim, is going to need proof. And in Christine's situation, she had all the receipts. I sent her via email everything that I got for her, so the hotel, and then she got a couple of flights, and then the Amtrak to get back home. But keep those receipts, because the travel insurance company will reimburse you anything that is considered an emergency, which this was. It was a hurricane. It's not like something that she expected to happen. And she was able to get back home safely. So what I'm telling people, when to travel, when not to travel, you have to remember, even if you're flying to Europe or Asia or Africa or wherever you're going, coming back to the States during a certain time of year, you might get stuck. July, August, September, October. It's also hurricane season here for us. I mean, we joke about it now that New York is the next, the new hurricane state next to Florida. Unfortunately, we had a Hurricane Irene and Hurricane Sandy, but you never know. We are in that region that gets hurricanes, so it may not affect you where you're going, but it may affect you when you're coming back. Just like right now, we're in winter. You may have plans to go, to Puerto Rico when you're flying out of JFK or Islip or something like that, and, you're snowed in. Make sure you get the travel insurance to protect your investment, just like you have travel insurance to protect your health and your house and everything else. It's a little bit of money to save a big investment. Christine, you and I were talking over the holidays about possibly either going to Italy or Ireland in 2014. So if anybody out there is listening, we're looking to do a group in August to Ireland in 2014. So if you're interested in going, give me a call at 631-456-5394 or reservations at EchevarriaTravel.com. I'm sure Christine will let her friends and family know. I'll let my friends and family know. And we'll have a great time going there. I also want to mention again that we are doing our first trip to Las Vegas and the Grand Canyon for the Travel and Tourism Division is October 9th through the 13th of 2013. And the $20% deposit is due by January 30th of 2013, and after that, we have payment plans available to everybody that does want to go. So, Christine, I want to wish you a Happy New Year, and thank you for coming on tonight, and we will talk to you again in the future if you're willing to come back on.
No problem. Would love to.
Have a great night. Have a Happy New Year, and wish Gary and Sam and Braden Happy New Year as well.
Okay, and good night to Max and Nelson as well.
Good night.
Bye.
Oh. I just want to let people know some updated information. If you don't already know, the National Federation of the Blind's National Convention, July 1st through July 6th. 2013 at the Rose and Shingle Center in Orlando, Florida. Reservations are now available. You can call up the hotel. The information is in the Braille Monitor, and it's a $90 deposit. So get your rooms ready. As I was mentioning earlier to Andrew Garnett, the Travel and Tourism meeting will be happening on July 2nd, 2013. And as of right now, I'm having Access Manager Mark Jones going to be speaking at the meeting. I hope to get Andrew Garnett in with us as well. And I'm also talking to Norwegian Cruise Line to see if they're able to come and talk to us during the Travel and Tourism meeting. So that's coming up. At the top of the hour at 9 o'clock, we have a new show that debuted last month. It's called Stepping Forward. And I hope you'll listen to the show after that. Plus, remember, the WTOE Radio is run by the Northeast chapter of the NFB in New Jersey, and we rely on donations by you to keep our radio station going. So if you'd like to make a contribution, you could contact me at my information, 631-456-5394, reservations at EchevarriaTravel.com. If you'd like to be on my show and you travel, give me a call as well. Or if you're a supplier listening, we'd love to have you on. In the coming months, I plan to have Linda Thomas from Looking Good Without Looking On. We've been discussing being on each other's shows. And also Jerry Marino and Janie on. So we look to have all of our WTOE network radio shows, personalities on each other's shows coming up in the future. What else? Oh, yes. February, we're going to have a tape show because February 4th to the 6th, I will be in Washington, D.C. with the rest of the NFB family, advocating on behalf of you, the blind, and for us, the blind. So remember, I walk the walk and I talk the talk, and I'm here to help us, the blind, out there, whether it's traveling or being more independent in school, work, or at your jobs. Let's see what else. Just going back a little bit more, we still have room on the NFB in New Jersey cruise. April 13th through the 18th, we still have a couple of rooms left if you'd like to go. Last day for us to book you is January 28th, 2013. And as I've been mentioning, the NFB of Florida's state convention is going to be February 7th through the 10th of 2014 on the Norwegian Sky out in Miami, Florida. Hope you can come with us on that cruise. The state affiliate has blocked enough staterooms for their affiliate members to come. I have blocked for friends and family of the NFB of Florida. They're doing this because the next 6-7 years we're going to have our national convention in Orlando, and they're just looking for different opportunities to go different places and to learn different forms of travel. The friends and family portion of it that I'm doing is also a fundraiser for the NFB of Florida. So you don't have to be a member of the NFB. All the groups that I do, people ask me, well, is your group just for the blind? Or I want to go on a group that's dedicated for blind people. All the groups that I advertise and offer is accessible to everybody. Not just the blind, not just people in wheelchairs, not people that don't have any disabilities whatsoever. I want people to learn from each other. So if you're saying to me, well, I want to make sure that I can go. If I can't go, then I don't offer it. I have to make sure that I can go as well since I'm blind myself. I use a guide dog. I use my cane. I use my husband. So as Christine was saying, it's all about knowing your own mobility. And if you need to practice on your mobility, that's part of local travel as well. Get outside your house, walk down the street. Don't walk on the sidewalk. Walk around gravel. I don't mean, totally get off your sidewalk. Test yourself. See if you can, figure out where to go. So anyway, I want to wish everybody Happy New Year. The February show is going to be a pre-recorded show. So God bless and Happy New Year. Take care. And we'll talk to you soon. Happy travels from Echevarria Travel.
The Echevarria Travel Show is brought to you by Echevarria Travel, home of the independent traveler since 2009, specializing in worldwide destinations for the blind community. For more information on Echevarria Travel, call Cheryl at 631-456-5394 or email her at reservations@echevarriatravel.com. All words, ideas, and contents expressed on this show are those of Cheryl Echevarria and not necessarily those of the National Federation of the Blind, the Northeast New Jersey chapter, or the WTOE Internet Radio Network. Until next time, I'm Keith Zally.
Let's go. Cruise like a Norwegian.
The previous WTOE radio podcast is a commercial-free version of our live broadcast brought to you every Wednesday evening starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at through THRU-OurEyes.org.